Hey everybody, HomeSliceHenry here, and in today's video, we're going to be taking a look at an extremely fun glass cannon Pokemon in the Open Ultra League, Shadow Zapdos. These battles were submitted to the channel by members of the community, so many thanks for the battle submission. In today's video, we're actually going to be taking a look at two different battlers' battles. Both of them were actually able to hit Legend rank in the Ultra League using Shadow Zapdos, which is a pretty cool feat as it's not often seen very frequently. So without further ado, let's hop into the matches and check out Shadow Zapdos in action in the Open Ultra League. Hopping into the first match, picking up a bit of a tricky lead, Shadow Alolan Sandslash into Galarian Stunfisk. Now Stunfisk does pretty well against the entire team. The good news is, however, is that A-Slash is able to outpace it, so on this team, this is definitely where you want to see the Stunfisk. A-Slash plays to the CMP tie, calls the bait, and it's the Rock Slide. What a call. Sandslash farming up. This is only a Rock Slide, and this is not going to be enough to KO. So now A-Slash can throw 5 more Shadow Claws, again, go for the CMP tie, but this time the opponent goes for the extra. They're looking for the farm down here. Opponent goes for the farm down, and that's going to cost them both shields. Shadow Alolan Sandslash grabbing shields from the opponent, and once shields are out of the way, Shadow Zapdos should absolutely crush in the endgame. Opponent continuing to throw Rock Slides, thinking to themselves, surely the Clefable has to shield something, right? But Clefable refusing to shield, saving the shields for the Glassy Sweeper in the back. That is Shadow Zapdos. Meteor Mash will be lethal. Let's see what the opponent has. They have a Venusaur. In comes Shadow Zapdos. In the back, it's Cresselia. And Shadow Zapdos at a 2-shield advantage and an energy advantage as well. This is about to be very tough for the opponent. Zapdos farming up, going for the Drill Peck and winning CMP over the Cresselia. Drill Peck number 2 connects, and this should be perfect range for a Thunderbolt to KO from the Zapdos. Cresselia goes for the Moonblast, hoping for the attack drop. That's not going to happen, and Zapdos winning CMP again. This Thunderbolt will be lethal. Opponent can send back in the Venusaur, but Venusaur's in a very tough spot, banking the Drill Peck, switching back into Clefable, and this will force the Venusaur to throw energy. Meteor Mash will connect. They're forced to throw, and this just ensures the win. Shadow Zapdos has the move banked. Opponent undercharges the Frenzy. They're looking for the farm down, but Clefable says no, making it to the Meteor Mash. Will this be enough to KO? It barely is not, and that means Shadow Zapdos doesn't have to hit a single bubble as Drill Peck gets the KO. We've got a battle of shadows in the next match as Shadow A-Slash leads into Shadow Galvantula. A-Slash is able to outpace in this matchup, which is quite nice, as A-Slash will make the Ice Punch before Galv can get a potential debuff with Lunge. Ice Punch onto the Galv will be shielded. That's a pretty clear indication that Galv intends to lunge, so this is a very safe no shield from the A-Slash. And now A-Slash will be able to farm up 5 Shadow Claws, this time making it to the Drill Run, which hits harder than Ice Punch. Drill Run onto the Galv, gets the final shield. Galv looking for the farm down, and they are able to get there. So again, opponents giving up shields early, and you already know that that's going to set up Shadow Zapdos in a terrific way to sweep in the endgame. This is going to be very close. Can Clefable tank the discharge here? It can. Going for the Meteor Mash, but a nice catch by the opponent. Catching the Meteor Mash onto the Jellicent. The Hex goes through, so Clefable gets KO'd. And now it's all up to Shadow Zapdos. Zapdos needs a massive amount of energy if it wants to 1v3 in this endgame. Zapdos continuing to farm. Jellicent makes another Surf, and we're going to see Zapdos burn the final shield. Zapdos now going for the Thunderbolt here. Going for a pretty big undercharge, wanting extra farm. Thunderbolt leaves it on 1 HP. What an insane undercharge. Let's see what that final Pokemon is. In the back, opponent is running Mandibuzz. Overfarming with this Shadow Zapdos and going for the Thunderbolt. Thunderbolt does massive damage. Mandibuzz makes it to a foul play. This is going to be close. Can Zapdos tank? It's the Dark Pulse. Zapdos tanks. Opponent tries to snipe with Galvantula. Great reaction time as Drill Peck will KO the Galv. Can Zapdos hang on here? Zapdos makes it to the Drill Peck. Is this going to be enough to KO? Drill Peck takes down the Mandibuzz, and Shadow Zapdos sweeps the endgame. We see mirror leads in the next game, Shadow A-Slash versus Shadow A-Slash. Considering what's in back, definitely nice to catch the opponent's A-Slash on the lead. going to farm up here, going for the Drill Run, losing CMP to the opponent. That's a bit unfortunate. Drill Run does not KO, but it does hit for massive damage when both Sandslash are Shadow. Firing off the Drill Run will be shielded by the opponent. Opponent looking for the farm down here, and they get the farm down as the Drill Run is not reached. In comes Clefable. Meteor Mash will hit for some significant neutral damage. Sandslash fires off the Drill Run. Clefable farming up, making it to the Meteor Mash. Is this going to be enough to KO? I think the Sandslash will hang on with a small amount of HP, and they do. Clefable letting this go. Again, the goal being to try and save shields for the Zapdos. In comes the Zapdos, looking for the farm down, gets the Thundershock farm down, and now has a massive energy advantage. Opponent sends in a Tapu Fini. They are so weak to Shadow Zapdos in the back. Zapdos fires off the Thunderbolt. Get that Tapu Fini out of here. And it's another Mandibuzz. Oh my goodness. Teams are not prepared for electric damage, and Shadow Zapdos is making them pay. Shadow Zapdos firing off the Drill Peck. This will be lethal. Opponent is going to burn the final shield. They need a farm down to win, but Zapdos says no. That's a pretty cool feat, running 2 Shadow Pokemon and still getting the 2 shield flex. Bit of a tricky lead in the next match, Shadow Aslash into Shadow Swampert. Honestly, this entire team as a whole is a bit soft into Swampert, so it'll be interesting to see how Noob Giratina decides to play. Opponent just going straight for the Hydro Cannon. This does a lot of damage in the Shadow vs Shadow matchup, but importantly, it's not going to be enough to KO. So Aslash will farm up just before their next Hydro and go for the Drill Run. That does quite a lot of damage. Opponent is going to play to the CMP tie by overfarming. We're going to see a no shield from the Aslash, just choosing to let that go. My guess would be, I was going to say a potential Fairy Wind farm down, but no, even more aggressive, going for the 1 shield Thundershock farm down with Zapdos. Opponent now sends in Weezing, and this is going to be interesting. Zapdos firing off the Drill Peck into the Weezing. Weezing is going to let that through. In comes Clefable. Clefable, of course, can hit for massive super effective damage with Meteor Mash due to the poison subtyping. They go for the Overheat. That's going to leave a mark. And now going for the Meteor Mash here. Does the opponent want to protect the Weezing? The answer is no. They let the Weezing go. They, of course, still have the very low health Swampert, and we have yet to see the third. In comes the Swampert. Swampert makes it to a move with a fraction of HP remaining, choosing to let the Clefable go and saving it for Zapdos. It's a Charizard in the back. Oh my goodness. Can Zapdos clutch here? Zapdos, Drill Peck, gets shielded. Zapdos continuing to farm, going for another Drill Peck. Is a Drill Peck enough to KO here? This is Shadow on Shadow, and Shadow Charizard is extremely glassy, and Zapdos wins the CMP tie. Drill Peck gets the KO. In comes the Swampert, and that's a good game. We now switch to the second team, as Shadow Zapdos is now paired up with a Tapu Fini and a Registeel. This is a pretty familiar team archetype where typically the flyer is run by either Talonflame or Charizard, and now it's just replaced with Shadow Zapdos. Tapu Fini will commit an early shield here. Walrein goes for the Earthquake. Walrein goes for the catch onto Cresselia, but the Cresselia will be punished by the Registeel counter swap. This is an absolutely dismal matchup for Cresselia. The only good thing about this matchup is that it takes so long that Cresselia can typically burn the switch clock and switch out for later. We see the Zap Cannon fired by the Registeel, and to add insult to injury, the 2/3 attack drop chance from Zap Cannon goes off. They're firing off another Moonblast here into the Registeel. Moonblast actually gets an attack drop as well. Unfortunately, this is not nearly enough to flip the matchup for the Cresselia. We see the Zap Cannon fired by the Registeel, and we see a second attack drop. Switch clock is coming up. In comes the Walrein. Walrein met with the Tapu Fini. Tapu going for the Surf bait. This is a risky bait, and it pays off as Walrein shields the resisted move. Unfortunately for the Tapu, it will barely be outpaced by the Walrein, committing the shield, and again correctly shielding the Earthquake. Tapu Fini massively overfarming, baiting for a second time. This could be a massively pivotal moment in the match. Surf does get shielded by the opponent. This will allow Tapu Fini to outpace the Walrein and make the Moonblast. No shields remaining for the opponent. Moonblast deals massive damage to the Walrein. Walrein hangs on with 1 HP, making it to a last-second Earthquake. that will be lethal. But this sets up farm for Registeel, and Registeel up energy is incredibly deadly. Opponent sends in Cresselia, so they do not like the fact that this Registeel has an energy advantage. They're trying to get it to throw. As we see, now we know why they do not want to see that Registeel. They have a Sylveon in the back, and Shadow Zapdos can very comfortably clean up this game. Zapdos making it to this Thunderbolt. That's going to be goodbye to the Charmer. In comes Cresselia. Cresselia will be KO'd by the Drill Peck. Shadow Zapdos standing strong, and that's a good game. Moving into the next match, sending Tapu Fini into Giratina Altered. Considering there's a Zapdos in the back, you definitely don't mind seeing Giratina on the lead. This is a Shadow Claw Giratina, so despite the massive type advantage for the Tapu Fini, Giratina can actually do quite well here. The reason being, Tapu Fini is a terrific water type, but is honestly not a great fairy type. These water guns just do absolutely nothing, and it is entirely reliant on landing the Moonblast to deal any meaningful damage. As we're seeing, Tapu Fini is going to be in the red health after this Shadow Sneak, and the Giratina is still very, very healthy. Tapu farming up. Tapu is going to have to shield a Dragon Claw here, as they are going to, they actually go for the Shadow Sneak. Honestly, probably could have gone for the Dragon Claw there, but Tapu makes the Moonblast, and if Giratina wants, it can double shield and farm down, and that's exactly what it's going to do. So Giratina, despite the type disadvantage, leaves with a massive amount of health, and is only down one shield. Giratina is going to fire off Shadow Sneak after Shadow Sneak. Opponent staying in with the Giratina is probably the best case scenario, as this should hopefully mean that Shadow Zapdos will get a shield for whatever's in the back, and will not have to deal with that Giratina. Giratina continuing to fire off Shadow Sneak after Shadow Sneak. In this matchup, Giratina does have the slight pacing advantage, so it will be able to make it to another Shadow Sneak, and this will be getting the Registeel below half health. So the opponent getting a ton of value out of their Giratina, because Giratina was able to overwhelm that Tapu Fini with resisted damage. Going for the Zap Cannon, undercharge, and gets one extra lock on. In comes Cobalion, met with the Zapdos. In the back, they have Tapu Fini. Opponent now in an incredibly tough situation as Thunderbolt crashes into the Tapu Fini, and Zapdos gets the farm down. Back in comes Cobalion. This is going to be tough. Bit of unfortunate timing there. Firing off the Thunderbolt here. Thunderbolt will get it into a range where Drill Peck will KO. It all comes down to this. Do they bait? Do they nuke? Zapdos shields, and shields correctly. It's the Stone Edge, and that's going to be game over. As the good news is, Sacred Sword will not KO from this health range. Zapdos able to withstand the damage, and to add insult to injury, making it to the Thunderbolt. Thunderbolt, massive overkill onto Cobalion, and that's game over. Hopping into the final match, we see another type advantage matchup for the Tapu Fini, leading into a Shadow Dragonite. Again, the fact that Tapu Fini has the water fast move does hold it back quite a bit when going up against dragons, but the opponent tries to go for a catch onto Jellicent, and Jellicent is in a very difficult spot going up against Registeel. I definitely prefer the Registeel counter swap compared to the Zapdos, as Registeel has a massive advantage in terms of bulk, so Registeel will be able to absorb multiple charge moves from this Jellicent, whereas Zapdos, due to its extreme glassiness, would not be able to do so. Registeel is going to no shield again as Jellicent fires off charge move number 2. They go for another Shadow Ball, continuing to farm up with the Registeel. Unfortunately, Jellicent is able to get the Hex through. Zap Cannon will be lethal. Opponent lets it through. They're now going to send in Sand Slash, and this is going to be very interesting here. Opponent, oh my goodness, the CMP sack swap onto the Dragonite. Dragon Claw gets the KO. That is an absolutely insane play from the opponent. Oh my goodness. Going to send in the Zapdos now, and wow, I'm just in disbelief. Opponent still in a very difficult spot here, as they full send the superpower to try and limit the amount of farm that Zapdos gets, but Zapdos still able to exit the matchup with a Thunderbolt. Thunderbolt does so much damage, so we will see a shield from the A-Slash, and the Tapu Fini just has too much energy for the Sand Slash to overcome. So Tapu Fini fires off the first Surf. We see the no shield from the Sand Slash. Sand Slash knows it has to tank at least one. But if Tapu gets to the back-to-back here, this will be game over. Opponent baits and is able to grab a shield. Drill Run does not KO from here, although it does do quite a lot of damage. Opponent double baits with the Sand Slash. Oh boy. Is this the drill run? It looks like the answer is yes. It is the drill run that gets the Tapu low. Tapu very close to the back-to-back moves here. This will be very close. Surf number 1 gets the shield, and Surf number 2 will get the KO. So Tapu Fini takes down the Shadow A-Slash, and that's a good game. All in all, you may have noticed a trend in the last few videos on the channel, basically showcasing that the Ultra League meta as a whole is not really planning for electric type damage, and as a result, some spicier electric type mons can actually have some pretty nice success. Whether it's Ampharos, whether it's we saw Alolan Raichu as well, that's definitely on the spicier end, or in this case, Shadow Zapdos. It definitely feels like teams aren't necessarily planning for electric types, so we can see electric types have success, and I mean, these two trainers both hit Legend with Ultra League Shadow Zapdos, so it goes to show there may be some method to the madness here. Anyways, thank you guys oh so much for watching. If you're enjoying the content, make sure to leave a like and subscribe to the channel if you haven't. And a special thank you as always to our members here on YouTube. The support you guys provide is sincerely appreciated. So thank you guys oh so very much. And until next time, I've been HomeSliceHenry.